I actually have a legitimate concern that by the time I get this video out to you guys, Kyle Kuzma may have already been traded, because I'm that confident that he's not going to be a Laker by the end of the NBA draft. Speaking of the NBA draft, we are going to be doing a live stream on my podcast, Laced Up Hoops. A link to that's going to be in the description down below. We're also giving away a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X to a subscriber that turns on our notifications on that channel. We're going to be announcing the giveaway winner at 40,000 subscribers. And if you could take a minute to leave a like on this video and follow us on Instagram, that'd be greatly appreciated. Now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? The Kyle Kuzma rumor mill has been one of the most fascinating rumor mills this entire offseason. It seems like all of Laker Nation has essentially punted and turned their backs on Kyle Kuzma as a result of his poor playoff performance. But honestly, my personal take on this entire situation is it's just time for both the Lakers and Kyle Kuzma to part ways, mainly because Kuzma has achieved everything he sought out to achieve as a Los Angeles Laker. He's established a name for himself in the NBA. He's established a brand for himself on social media. He is technically an influencer in my eyes, at least. And then on top of that, he's already won a NBA championship. So I feel like in terms of what Kyle Kuzma's goals are moving forward, he just needs to get a recurring, consistent starting role on a team that could use his skill sets the most. And I think that's a very reasonable goal at this point. I don't think he's really seeking out to be one of the best players in the NBA. I just think he wants to consistently be in the NBA and consistently earn a paycheck once his contract expires in 2 years from now. And thankfully, I don't even think his contract is that bad. But unfortunately for Kyle Kuzma, despite all this information, the market for him seems very grim at the very least. So let's start from the very beginning here, because apparently the Los Angeles Lakers are doing whatever it takes to jump into the NBA draft lottery. And that makes a lot of sense. In my opinion, this is a draft class that really resembles the 2011 NBA draft class, where Kyrie Irving was the #1 pick, and then Derek Williams, and then Enes Kanter and Brandon Knight, and so on and so forth. Those top 4 players, aside from Kyrie Irving, aren't really players that get you that excited. But if you look further down the draft, players like Kawhi Leonard were drafted, Jimmy Butler was drafted in 2011, Klay Thompson was drafted in 2011, Nikola Vucevic, and that's before I even get to the Mr. Irrelevant of that NBA draft, which is probably the best Mr. Irrelevant of all time, and that's Isaiah Thomas. And that's not a knock on Cade Cunningham or Jalen Green or Evan Mobley or even Jalen Suggs, but to be honest, I'm not really as high on players like Scotty Barnes and Jonathan Kuminga, and I'll give you my reason for that in another video. It mainly pertains to their ability to potentially form a jump shot, which I'm really iffy on. It's more of a compliment to the depth in this year's NBA draft. There's a lot of good developmental players that could be had, and if you jump into the lottery, you might even be able to get yourself some shooting in this year's NBA draft. Players like Corey Kispert or Chris Duarte are remarkable jump shooters that could instantly help the Los Angeles Lakers in the now. And if you think about it, if you add a player like Chris Duarte who gives you jump shooting, you don't really need to pay a premium to bring in Buddy Hield, which would also allow you to potentially bring in a player that is willing to take a pay cut to join your team, DeMar DeRozan, who pretty much went on Club Shay Shay and sounded exactly like he was already a member of the Los Angeles Lakers.
What would it be like for you, being a local kid, to don the purple and gold?
You can't ask no kid if they want to play home, they'll say no. You know what I mean? At some point, you definitely want to have that opportunity, and especially if they want you, why not?
Right.
Why not?
So in an effort to get into the draft lottery, the Los Angeles Lakers apparently offered Kyle Kuzma and the number 22 pick to the Indiana Pacers for pick number 13 and a salary filler, and the Indiana Pacers turned it down. Yeah, that's how good this year's NBA draft is. It seems to be a very deep NBA draft, and I really don't blame the Indiana Pacers for turning that down because, well, they already have a player that kind of fills a similar role in TJ Warren. And according to J. Michael medical, TJ Warren is healthy, so they declined Kuz. So the Lakers have been hustling to jump into the lottery to get ahead of the Washington Wizards. And there are some sources that are a little bit more aggressive. The same exact source says that the Lakers offered Kyle Kuzma to the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Utah Jazz, and nobody really wanted to engage on a trade that's centered around Kyle Kuzma. Now, that's a direct contradiction to this more recent report that we got that the Los Angeles Lakers may potentially trade Kyle Kuzma and the number 22 pick for Joe Ingles and the number 30 pick. Now, this is apparently a possibility, but I don't know the probability of this happening. Which brings me to my favorite trade rumor that pertains to Kyle Kuzma, and I'm gonna give you guys like maybe 5 seconds to go to the comment section down below and guess what trade I'm gonna bring up to you guys. Okay, did you go to the comment section? You got it? Good. So, of course, 3 days ago, we got word that the Los Angeles Lakers and the Sacramento Kings have discussed a trade that is centered around Buddy Hield. So, such a trade package will have to include Kyle Kuzma. This is according to Champ Sharania, which is one of our favorite sources of all time. Now, this is a great rumor because Buddy Hield wants out of Sacramento, the Los Angeles Lakers want some shooting, and of course, Buddy Hield could be that go-to scorer you need to take over games whenever LeBron and Anthony Davis need to rely on a scorer. The reason why this works for the Sacramento Kings is 1, Buddy Hield is extremely disgruntled, and 2, Kyle Kuzma has familiarity with Luke Walton. He's experienced the most success in his NBA career with Luke Walton. Now, we got an update in regards to this potential rumor, and this is actually coming off of the Athletics official website. So it starts like this. ESPN's Mark Spears indicated that a Russell Westbrook sign-and trade with Washington could be a possibility, and Sharania indicated that a Buddy Hield deal might be in the works with Sacramento. Of all the scenarios for a supporting player believed to be in play, one source close to the situation indicated the Hield deal, which would involve forward Kyle Kuzma and would also likely require Lakers forward Montrezl Harrell to opt into the final year of his deal and be included. This appears to be the most promising thus far, and one of the best ways that you could always determine whether a rumor has any legitimacy at all is whether if there's any consistency over the couple of days that the rumor has been reported from multiple sources. And today, literally within the past hour, Mark Stein came out and tweeted that the Lakers talked with Sacramento on a potential deal headlined by Buddy Hield and Kyle Kuzma are the most serious so far, league sources say. But at the same time, San Antonio is also believed to have interest in Kyle Kuzma in a possible sign-and-trade scenario involving free agent-to-be DeMar DeRozan. So the Lakers might have to choose between DeMar DeRozan and Buddy Hield, unless if the Sacramento Kings would be okay with trading for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. But at the same time, this is all dependent on Montrezl Harrell opting into his player option. Now, I'm going to be honest, if Montrezl Harrell opts into his deal, then that's definitely extremely sketchy. And the reason why is this year's big man market is extremely depressed. I feel like Montrezl Harrell could actually cash in, and the fact that he'd actually opt into his contract as opposed to opting out and trying to sign another deal for significantly more money is a little bit sketchy, and this is coming from a Los Angeles Lakers fan that wants to see Montrezl Harrell opt in. I'm just remaining objective and non-delusional here because I'm totally not a delusional Laker fan. Now, for the Sacramento Kings, Kyle Kuzma has 3 years and $39 million combined on his deal, and Montrezl Harrell could fit in well on the roster that is now being built around De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Halliburton. A source with knowledge of the talks said Philadelphia also has shown interest, which is totally unrelated to Ben Simmons because apparently they want 4 first-round picks and a James Harden-like return for Ben Simmons. Now, the reason why this makes sense for the Lakers is they get to add an elite three-point shooter like Buddy Hield on a long-term deal, which is 3 years and $63 million remaining, which would be significant considering their struggles on that front last season. Bear in mind the Lakers were 25th in made threes per game and were 24th in attempts, and they were 21st in three-point percentage, and Hield was 3rd in the NBA in threes per game, which is only behind Steph Curry and Damian Lillard, and he was also 3rd in attempts, which was also behind Steph Curry and Damian Lillard. So I'm going to be extremely honest honest with you guys, I think this is the most likely thing that can happen. I really don't think that Russell Westbrook to the Los Angeles Lakers is that feasible, unless if there's like an insanely depressed trade market for Russell Westbrook. I don't think there's any way that he gets onto the Los Angeles Lakers, and that's coming from the most delusional Laker fan that you know here. But in this case, adding a player like Buddy Hield and shipping Kyle Kuzma to a place where he'd be happy would solve a lot of the Los Angeles Lakers problems. The question is, how would they add DeMar DeRozan in that case? I don't think that would be possible in that situation. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.